Well, good day, 'tis I, Lord Pendlebury, and welcome to the final highlights video of 2024, and of course it is the season finale for Season 4 of 2024. Both championships, both Pro and AMs, wide open going into the final two rounds of the season, so we will crack on with that very shortly. Just a very quick announcement though beforehand, so this is going to be the last highlights video that we do in the current format. To be completely frank with you, it's quite time consuming to put these together, and yes, I've got two children and frankly not much time, so yeah, going forwards I haven't fully planned it out yet, but we're going to be doing some kind of snappier, shorter videos, still kind of have highlights here and there, but yeah, we'll move away from this lengthier highlights setup, so just to forewarn you before we embark upon that new venture in 2025. Anyway, before we crack on with the highlights, if you would like to come and join us, we've got a lot of reasons down there. It's a shame I've finally kind of cracked the which side that list is on right at the end of the highlights videos, but oh well. Yeah, evolutionsimracing.com, visit us there. Turns out I never actually added the TikTok and Instagram handles onto this page, but I'm sure I will. I'm sure I'm going to make use of this page going forwards, I just haven't planned it out yet. But yeah, anyway. Yeah, I think that's about it, so thank you very much for your company, and yeah, enjoy the final highlights of 2024. Oh, and also, apparently I've come dressed as a giant pizza today. It's fucking warm, it's lovely. But yeah, let's crack on. Well, hello then, and welcome to Imola for the final two rounds of the season. Hardly a more fitting track, really. It is of legendary status, both for good and bad reasons. Weather-wise, 19 degrees air temp, 19 degrees track temp, so time should be fairly quick. Rain had been predicted earlier in the week, however, that prediction has cleared up, so it should stay dry throughout both the sprint and feature race. We are obviously starting off with the sprint race, 25 minutes, no mandatory pit stop here. Before we get onto the grid then, let's take a quick look at the point standings. 2 races to go. Steve Everson leads the way in the AM class. He's 13 points ahead of Chris Palmer. Those two, one of them will be crowned champion at the end of this evening. Looking further down the standings, Mickey Dolan, Brian Dodd are pretty close for 4th place and all to play for in the bottom positions if they're taking part. Taking a look at the Pro grid then. Pro standings, and Jeff Sharp leads the way. Still mathematically possible for Sharp, Pendlebury and Thomas to win the championship here. That said, Sharp and Pendlebury have drop weeks to contend with. Will Thomas doesn't, so every point that he gains will be counted towards that total. Sharp and Pendlebury will lose some. We'll see how that all pans out at the end. Meanwhile, it is also close a little bit further down, particularly for 6th place between Dan Slattery and Chris Hulse. Let's see how they go. Right. Let's not go back to that information. Let's head to the grid. Well, Will Thomas takes another pole position, and it was by an absolutely outstanding 8/10 of a second, getting on towards 9/10 of a second. That is an impressive time by anybody's standards. Jamie Nicholson aligned up alongside on second for his best qualifying of the season. Brackets, I think. Jeff Sharp and Lord Pendlebury, two of those key title protagonists, line up side by side on the second row of the grid. Steve Everson, he has been impressive with his qualifying form in the final 3 events of the season. He lines up in 5th place and for the 3rd time in a row is mingling amongst the pro category. Steve Moore is then in 5th in class with Dan Slattery 6th in class. Paul Nicholson lines up 2nd in the AM category with Chris Palmer in 3rd, then Axel Edwards in 4th. Mickey Dolan is in 11th. Mark Audley making his first appearance of the season. Not mathematically possible for him to do much this season. Fuck. That's slightly less than ideal. Whoa. Oh, I'm going to have to break the fucking 4th wall, and I... There we are. That... Shit me. Never... Oh, it's the last one. Who cares? Oh, no. Let's not go that quickly, otherwise it's going to happen again. Right. And it was only Tuggy Bear. So adds the Tuggy Marriott making his first appearance of the season as well. Mark and Anthony, welcome back. Do hope you can join us more frequently next season. Anyway, let's get down trackside and actually crack on with these highlights. Then they're ready to go. Who will make the best start? And it looks like Will Thomas has got an absolute rocket ship of a start there at the front. Just what he needed. in his pursuit of the title. Heading down towards turn 1. Oh, and there's contact there. Slattery involved. I think Steve Moore. Oh, and Chris Palmer into the gravel as well. He got caught up in that completely innocent party. We'll go back and have a look at that. But at the front, things looking very neat and already quite spread out. Oh, that's somebody going through the gravel. Not sure who that was. I assumed it was Chris Hulse, but he is not racing tonight. It was a McLaren livery, I believe. It was Paul Nicholson. And things just settling down. So Will Thomas leads the way in the pro category. Jamie Nicholson is second. He's about a second off the back of Will Thomas there. Jeff Sharp and Pendlebury close behind as well. And then in the AM category, as it's been all season long, they just seem to spread themselves out almost instantly. That is, apart from Axel Edwards and Paul Nicholson, they are keeping it nice and close together. Oh, that's Jamie Nicholson out wide. Oh, he's into the barriers. Sharp avoids him, but Pendlebury doesn't. And that is dire news for Pendlebury in the championship. Has he got damage? It looks like he does. Oh, he does indeed. That car is not tracking the way it should. So all of a sudden... Oh, hello. That's not what we want to do. Things looking very bright for Will Thomas. That incident means that he is basically 2.5 seconds ahead of Jeff Sharp in second. And, well, all Will Thomas needs to do is outscore Jeff Sharp. And he will be on for the championship win. Pendlebury, unfortunately, barring some real turmoil for Will Thomas and Jeff Sharp, he will be out of the championship because he is going to have to pit to get his vehicle repaired. Unfortunately for Jamie Nicholson as well, he is very much secure in his 4th place in the championship, but he has had to retire. Well, I say retire, he's had to go back to the pits to get repaired. Well then, let's take a look at the start again there. There was a big contrast in the starts for people throughout the grid, and then look at a little bit further ahead, there's just a bit of contact there between Moore, I think it was, and Slattery, and... wow, yeah, unfortunately, Chris Palmer got caught up in that as well. And then Mark Audley, that's what happened to him. He spun of his own accord. Oh, and then it completely spins around. Oh, my goodness, we didn't see that. I tell you what, we're having another replay of that. Did not really... So we can see here, or we can't because there's some very terrible trees in the way, but that is Mark Audley going around. Does really well to just roll himself out of the way of oncoming traffic. Then gets a bit rambunctious on the throttle there. And then in a season where... there have been some pretty questionable rejoins. That one ranks up there amongst them, although he was already on the track. So either way, it was, yeah, I don't know, it was clumsy. This is what happened with Jamie Nicholson, and then Lathley Pendlebury just hits the sausage curbs and can't keep it out of the barriers. Sharp somehow avoids him, and he just clips the rear end of Pendlebury. It's surprising considering... that sort of contact caused Pendlebury to have to retire due to an engine blowing up last week. Yet this week his engine was absolutely fine. I'm definitely not bitter about that. But yeah, unfortunate stuff there. Well, Anthony Marriott didn't set a time, as said, when running through the grid. His first race of the season, this. Started in 7th, has worked his way up into 4th place and slowly closing the gap to Axel Edwards. Chris Palmer, he is right on the back of Mickey Dolan here, pulls out. And through he goes. Very nicely done there, Chris Palmer. As they head up towards Tosa. Oh, and that's somebody round... Who was that? Not Mickey Dolan, it was Mark Audley. No, it wasn't Mark Audley. Who was it? It must have been somebody in the pro category, I think. Who is stopped on track? Can't tell until... well, they're moving again now, so... oh, well, doesn't matter. It might have been Dan Slattery, thinking about it, going off of the livery. Yeah, I think it was Slattery. Oh, he's through the gravel. Slattery... previous multiple champion here at Evolution Sim Racing, but driving like a rank amateur. Oh no, and that's Anthony Marriott. He's just gone round, and as per usual with these highlights, I keep on missing these incidents happening. He had whittled that gap to Axel Edwards down to just 0.7 of a second. It now sits at around 6 seconds. He's got some work to do to catch up there, but repping evolutionsimracing.com, so we'll forgive him. Well, thanks to Axel Edwards having a incident, he has managed to put himself within reach of Anthony Marriott here. Anthony Marriott looking to challenge for the podium positions in his first race back. Has taken a season-long break, but showing that he's lost none of his class in that time. I tell you what, I think he's probably going to have a chance as they head down towards the Tamburello chicane. Pulls to the inside. Edwards chooses not to defend, but he sweeps around the outside. Edwards putting all his faith in Marriott there that he'd hold it together, and he just about did. They continue to battle away, though, as they head up to, what's this one? Villeneuve. Edwards running a little bit wide there, and that has given Marriott one hell of a run as they head up the hill. Both of them leaving each other enough space. Oh no, Marriott makes an error, and into the gravel he goes. And all of a sudden, Chris Palmer now breathing. Well, he's not breathing down his neck. He's blown on his neck as he flies by. That drops Anthony Marriott down into 5th. Maybe never mind. There was going to be a witty comment there about maybe he has lost some of his class, but it doesn't really work if I trip over my own tongue. Well, we are over half distance at this point then, so let's go and check in with Will Thomas. He is leading the way to the tune of 5 seconds. And you have to say, Jeff Sharp just not able to live with the pace that Will Thomas is demonstrating here. And if Will Thomas can keep extending this lead, well, he doesn't really need to extend it. He just needs to finish ahead of Sharp. That will be a big step in the right direction to becoming champion of Evolution Sim Racing's Pro League. That said, Will Thomas does have a mistake in him. He won't mind me saying that on more than one occasion he has thrown a lead away as recently as last week at Alton Park in the Mazda MX-5s. But yes, anyway, let's stop slamming Will Thomas occasionally making a mistake after having an absolutely fantastic season. Jeff Sharp, he's in 2nd place with Steve Moore in the final podium position at the moment. It's then 33 seconds back to Jamie Nicholson. He obviously had that incident with the barriers early doors, and then Pendlebury is 8.2 seconds behind him. Slattery has retired. That was 4 laps ago. He was not having a good time. Then in the pro category, things important going on for the championship. Steve Everson, he is leading the way, and he was obviously leading the way in the championship going into this one as well. Chris Palmer, crucially, is in P4. That is sadly that's doth butter no parsnips for Chris Palmer. He needs to be finishing ahead of Steve Everson, and he I mean, a brief roundup there, he is the better part of 20 seconds behind Steve Everson, so he's going to need Everson to start making some errors. Anyway, Paul Nicholson is doing well. He is circulating in 2nd place at the moment. Axel Edwards is still in 3rd after that attack from Anthony Marriott. As said, Chris Palmer's in 4th with Marriott now down in 5th. Mickey Dolan's then in 6th with Mark Audley circulating in 7th. Oh dear, well, steps being made in the wrong direction then for Chris Palmer. He's made a mistake and handed 4th position to Anthony Marriott. Well, steps being made in the right direction then for Chris Palmer. Anthony Marriott's made an error and allowed him back up into 4th position. Something going on with Mickey Dolan then, and Mickey Dolan on the right-hand side there. He's Oh, well, let's come to an awful... Oh, my goodness, that is a car that does not have many parts attached to it, at least on the front end. And Mickey Dolan has to retire back to the pit lane. That'll prompt Mark Audley up a position. Didn't see what happened there, but if I can be asked, we'll have a look at the replay. And this is what happened to Mickey Dolan. Just carries a little bit too much speed and into the barrier as he goes. Well, we join Will Thomas as he heads through Ravazza for the final time in this sprint race. He has done an excellent job and is going to win by over 9 seconds. That is a massive step in the right direction towards the championship. And here is Steve Everson sweeping through Ravazza himself. Actually third on the road overall. So cracking result all round for him. He crosses the line and a big step in the right direction for him. I say a big step in the right direction. I'm not quite sure how it'll pan out in terms of drops, but he has all but guaranteed himself the championship there over Chris Palmer, I believe. So excellent stuff there. Taking a look then at the results, Will Thomas, as we can see there, win by almost 10 seconds in the end. 25 points to the good for him. Just needs to do that again and he will be champion. Jeff Sharp, second place, gets 18 points. Steve Moore, he was then in third place to round out the podium. Jamie Nicholson, good recovery from him after that massive impact on the third lap. He ends up in fourth with Pendlebury in fifth. Both of them were a lap down. Then Dan Slattery truly fulfilling his contractual obligations for Fuck This Racing. He has finished 13 laps down from the end because he didn't finish. On to the AM standings. I always say standings, it's bloody results. AM results then, Steve Everson just about to be champion, you feel, in the AM category. He was winner by just over 13 seconds to Paul Nicholson. Axel Edwards rounded out the podium. Chris Palmer, sadly, not doing enough. I'm not sure he can turn it around from this point. I'm not sure how many different ways I can say that. Anthony Marriott, he was then in fifth on his return to the league. Mark Audley was sixth on his return to the league. Mickey Dolan, we saw him getting into strife. He ended up 5 laps down from the end, retiring after that big impact up at the Curva Grassini. Well, let's hide that away. As ever, we will take a very short break and be back with the highlights of the feature race in due course. Well, hello then, and welcome to the final round of the season, coming to you from Imola. We, of course, are about to embark upon the feature race. 45 minutes with a mandatory pit stop. Track and air temperatures are both the same again at 19 degrees. I suspect Jeff Sharp might have had something to do with this. Not sure why, but anyway, let's go and play everybody's favourite game for probably the last time. Guess that livery. And that's not a useful camera to start with. Let's head, there we go. Right, on pole position then is Steve Moore, I believe that is. He has got, who on earth was racing in the Dr. Pepper livery? Was it Mark Audley? No, that's Mark, no, he wasn't. So, who, oh, I'm really going to have to... Oh, it's Jamie Nicholson. Jamie Nicholson, will you go back to racing bloody yellow DeWalt liveries? It was much easier back then. We then have... no, we don't. We have Will Thomas in third place with Pendlebury in fourth. Then Jeff Sharp in fifth. Then in the AM category, it's Mark Audley. He's on pole position with Paul Nicholson alongside. Axel Edwards is then next with... what's his name? Chris Palmer, followed by Steve Everson. And then Anthony Marriott, who it is reverse grid based on championship position, but Anthony Marriott requested that he start at the back of the grid for this one. So anyway, let's get cracking. And they are off, and that looks like a belting start from Will Thomas. Looks like a pretty decent start for Pendlebury as well. They head down towards the first turn, and Will Thomas really trying to grasp this championship by the horns. And he is in pole position. pole position. He's in first place by turn 1. Jesus Christ, I'll level with you. I've been recording highlights all day and I seem to have forgotten the ability to speak. Oh, looks like things getting a bit tasty. That's Pendlebury up the inside of Steve Moore. We've also got Jeff Sharp battling it out with Jamie Nicholson. Oh, and there's somebody round in the background. Looks like it's Paul Nicholson, is it? It is Paul Nicholson. Unfortunate stuff there. Pendlebury's through on Steve Moore. Jeff Sharp still trying to get past Jamie Nicholson. Oh, onto the sausage curbs from Pendlebury. That is no good. Has to wait for the entire field to go through, and an evening that was going badly for him has just got even worse. Steve Moore re-inherits that second place. Jeff Sharp, he's alongside Jamie Nicholson. Have we got people side by side behind? Mark Audley and Chris Palmer by the looks of things. It is indeed Chris Palmer leading the way, doing exactly what he needs to do in the championship if he's going to have any chance of winning the AM category. I don't know whether it's mathematically possible or not, but for the sake of interest, let's say it is. Bringing up the race info then. Mark Audley very close behind Chris Palmer here. Oh no, that is Steve Moore. He spins round, has to wait, as Pendlebury did, for people to come through. That is, in fact, Pendlebury there. That also impacted Jamie Nicholson. He had to take avoiding action, which means we are as we were in the first race. Will Thomas leading the way in the pro category with Jeff Sharp behind in second, and that is not enough for Jeff Sharp. Will Thomas will be champion as it stands. In the AM standings, Chris Palmer leading the way just by half a second to Mark Audley. Steve Everson, as it stands, will be winning the AM Championship. He is looking to get a cherry on top, though, putting the pressure on Axel Edwards as they head up towards the curve of Grassini. And through he goes onto or up into the podium positions. Anthony Marriott also gets through there as well. Opportunistically. Oh, hello, and something gone wrong with Axel Edwards there. I don't know whether he span coming out of Curva Grassini, but unfortunately for him, he has dropped all the way down to last in class. Well, things have very much gone wrong for Chris Palmer then. He has dropped down. I think he's made an error. According to my information, he went off track and then didn't come on back on track for another 8 seconds, and well, what's happened there is he has fallen from first place to third place, and critically Steve Everson is up into second. He very much is looking like he will be crowned champion at the end of this one. Much the same to be said of Will Thomas leading the way in the pro category to the tune of 5 seconds. Jeff Sharp just cannot live with him. Oh, Anthony Marriott clubbed the sausage curbs midway through the Tamburello chicane, and that is Paul Nicholson decisively through as they head through Villeneuve. And Axel Edwards has also got past Anthony Marriott there. I'm not sure whether Anthony Marriott may have picked up an issue there or not. Axel Edwards looking to make a move on Paul Nicholson as they head through the Ravazzas. Unable to do so, but I'll tell you what, he'll have a decent run as they head along the main straight. It is a long way down to turn 1. Pulls out to the left-hand side of Paul Nicholson. That'll be the inside line for the Tamburello chicane. Onto the brakes they go, and through Axel Edwards go. Oh, he's through and into the gravel, keeps it out the barriers, but took far too much of the sausage curbs there. And he drags a load of grit and dirt back onto the track, and unfortunately finds himself back down in 6th place. three-way battle here going on. That is Paul Nicholson. He is just ahead of Anthony Marriott. That is for 4th place in the AM category. They have Jamie Nicholson for company. Obviously saw Jamie Nicholson not quite get caught up in it, but certainly got delayed by Steve Moore spinning earlier in this one. So Anthony Marriott has closed up on Nicholson quickly there. This may be a tricky one through the chicane. Oh, Jamie Nicholson decides he's going to throw it in the bin. Looks like, if anything, rear tyres locked up there. The brake bias may need to be wound forward a little bit to help compensate for that. Meanwhile, Anthony Marriott still just behind Paul Nicholson at the moment. Oh, Anthony Marriott, he was a little bit later on the brakes than Paul Nicholson. I think that caught him out a little bit, and that has meant that he has spun, and, well, that's dropped him down the order, and he now occupies that 6th place in the AM category. That promotes Palmer, Nicholson, Edwards, all upper position. Oh no, Nicholson, no, it only promotes Edwards upper position. I'm talking out my arse. Oh dear, what on earth's going on here? That's Chris Palmer's gone round and Anthony Marriott's gone round as well. Oh, they almost spin round into each other as they try and recover. What an odd little incident that was. Wow. Funnily enough, we happen to be about halfway through this one, so let's do a quick recap on where we are. So here he is, Will Thomas, leading the way, nearly 10 seconds ahead of Jeff Sharp, doing exactly what he needs to be crowned champion at the end of this race. Jeff Sharp, as we've said before, just not able to live with Will Thomas's pace. There he is. We then have Lord Pendlebury. He's currently circulating in 3rd in class, already knocked out of the hunt for the championship in the first race. We then have Steve Moore in 4th, and then Jamie Nicholson in 5th. Leading the way then in the AM category is Mark Audley, only his 2nd race of the season, and on course at the moment to win it. 5.9 seconds ahead of Steve Everson. He has been opening that gap as well. Steve Everson was originally about 2 seconds behind him, but yeah, that gap has increased. Paul Nicholson then currently in 3rd place, 17 seconds behind Everson, and then it's double that gap to Chris Palmer, 34 seconds behind Paul Nicholson, and then Axel Edwards in 14th, Anthony Marriott in the pits. So, yeah, that's where we stand so far. Well, here he is then, Will Thomas, now with a 23-second lead over Jeff Sharp. Let's, God's sake, there's a cat sat on my bloody mouse. Here he is, the champion of the Evolution Sim Racing Season 4 2024 Pro League. Congratulations, Will Thomas. It has been an absolutely staggering run of results in the closing stages of this season. He has been in a class of his own and fully deserves that championship victory. And here he is, Steve Everson. It was in question all season long, really, about who would win the AM Championship. It's been a cracking battle, but Steve Everson has peaked when it really mattered. As they got towards the end of the season, he started stretching his legs and rounds out the season with a 1st place and a 3rd place. That is enough to secure the championship away from Chris Palmer. Well then, let's take a look at those final results. Paul Nicholson. What? Did you win, Paul Nicholson? Congratulations, Paul Nicholson. I was apparently not keeping abreast. I could have sworn Mark Audley was leading. Oh, apologies. In the commentary, I'm always referring to Mark Audley as leading, I think. So apologies, Paul Nicholson. Very good win to the tune of 6.8 seconds ahead of Mark Audley. Steve Everson was then in 3rd place. And with that came the championship. Chris Palmer, he was in 4th, ended up a lap down. Then Axel Edwards, he retired 11 laps from the end. And Anthony Marriott retired 15 laps from the end. In the pro category then, Will Thomas, he has won the race. I think probably the 4th time he's got a double win in a night this season, and with that comes the championship. Jeff Sharp ended up just over 24 seconds behind him. Jamie Nicholson obviously got into strife early doors. Steve Everson got into strife, as did Lord Pendlebury. So they were 1 lap, 2 lap and 6 laps down respectively. Now let's go and take a look at the championship, the final championship standings then for Season 4 2024. And in the Pro category, Will Thomas takes the victory, up 2 positions from 3rd place. He finishes on 369 points to Jeff Sharp's 354 points and Pendlebury's 325 points. Pendlebury's points haul tonight was, or just generally his night went so badly, he actually lost points. Last week he was on 329 points. This week he's on 325. Then Jamie Nicholson, he finished in 4th on 222 points, with Steve Moore 204 points, just 18 points back. Dan Slattery was then in 6th on 172, with Chris House in 7th on 159. James Hurlow was then in 8th on 105. Everybody else didn't race this season. Looking at the AM final championship standings then, championship winner Steve Everson, Big Dicks halfway in, will surely be throwing some discounts on their rooms in the not too distant future to celebrate this monumental moment. Steve Everson, victor over Chris Palmer to the tune of 25 points. Then it was Axel Edwards in 3rd place. I believe I'm right in saying that is Axel Edwards' best result in the championship this season, so congratulations to him. Nicky Dolan, first full season for him with Evolution Sim Racing, and a very respectable 4th place. I do feel like if he can put together a full season, he will be a title challenger for sure. Brian Dodd, he ended up in 5th place on 187 points. Paul Nicholson jumped Trav Dorado in the final standings. That's 6th place for him and 7th place for Trav. Josh Morris, he turned up for the dirt, he won a race, and no more fucks were given. 53 points for him and 8th place overall. Mark Audley and Anthony Marriott both jumped on for the final 2 rounds of the season. 30 points for Mark Audley, Anthony Marriott on 18 points. Well, thank you very, very much for joining us. Whoops, I've gone and clicked race info again by accident. But yes, thank you very much for watching. If you would like to come and get involved with Evolution Sim Racing, you are more than welcome to do so. We race on Friday nights at 8 PM VST or GMT, depending on the time of year. It's obviously GMT at the moment. And visit evolutionsimracing.com for more information. But for now, thank you very much and goodbye.